sent police one afternoon, and it literally just woke me up. Know that you're worthy, even if you don't feel it right now, even if you don't think it, even if you don't believe it. Believe me. I strongly encourage everybody to challenge the notion of feeling like you're selfish if you love yourself, or you're selfish if you have compassion for yourself, because I can promise you that if you take the time to really value yourself and put yourself first and nurture yourself in the way that you would your best friend or your child that you love, or your lover, then you will be so much brighter and so much bigger and have so much more love and compassion for others, that the world will be a much more beautiful place. My name is Carmen GREENTREE, and I'm here to share my story. My story is a story of hope, and it's also proof that you can go through all sorts of things and that there is a chance to recover. It started out for me as young as I can remember. I always felt like I didn't understand the world. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't feel like I was the same as anybody else. So it led me to start searching from a very, very young age, even as young as 6, 7 years old, that I was looking for some sense of hope, some sense of happiness. When I was 14 years old, I discovered the power of surfing. I realised, wow, surfing is something that might give me some life, some freedom, something joyful. And so my eyes got opened up to so many different possibilities. And for 7 years, that managed to at least suppress and prevent me from this other side to me, this darker, hidden side of where I didn't feel like the world made sense. But then I went into a really critical event. It was a 6-star WQS surfing event, and it was the event that was either going to make me get onto the women's world circuit tour or not. And when I rocked up at the event, they told me that I wasn't in the event. It was like the lid had come off and this big wave of problems just became exposed. I didn't have that outlet anymore to suppress and push it down. Which leads me to the next part of my journey. I decided that maybe searching deeper into a spiritual journey, I might be able to find the answers. So I booked a trip to the Dalai Lama, one backpack on my back, and off I went to India, thinking that it was just going to be as easy and cruisy as all my other travels had been in the past. But then when I got to India and arrived at the Delhi airport, and there wasn't many hotels available because it was in the middle of the night, and so I had to just take this really grubby, really cheap, really nasty, to be honest, hotel. That night I didn't get much sleep at all, and I was worn down. So all I could think about was getting on this bus and I would be with the Dalai Lama. And I was about to book my ticket with this agency, and a little boy, or young boy, 12 or 14-year-old boy, came over to me and he started chatting to me, and he said, "Oh, don't book with this agency because they were involved with the murder of a lady named Dawn Griggs, who was an Australian who had been there 3 weeks before me." He could tell that I was looking stressed and a little bit bewildered, and he said, "Oh, he'll look after me. He'll take me to a government tourist agency." Turns out that they were a non-government tourist agency, and they were running a scam, and that instead of getting me to where I wanted to go, they ended up coercing and manipulating me to go to a place called Kashmir. When I got off the plane, the brother of the young man that had actually sold me the ticket, his brother was there waiting to pick me up. And before I'd even got to the place where I would be supposedly only staying for a couple of nights. He had found a way to start manipulating and pressuring me into a fearful place that a man must vouch for women here, and that I must hand over my tickets and my passports and my bank cards and everything to him so that he can take care of that. Because if I was to be caught out as a woman here without a man vouching for me, that I would be in a lot of trouble and a lot of danger. So that happened within the first hour of arriving in Kashmir. And there wasn't really any options for me to go and run to someone to get like some sort of help from someone that spoke English that could understand me. And I was already really, really scared. So yeah, within the first hour, I felt like I was already being captivated and losing all my power and freedom and control. I was sexually abused by 2 of brothers. I didn't think I was ever going to leave for most of that time. At some point in the journey, the eldest brother did start to get really curious as to how much money my parents had, and so he forced me to make a phone call to my father. That was the phone call that was able to drop the number of where I actually was. And so that was the way that they were able to get the embassies and the police in Australia and in India working all together to track down where I was and implement a rescue. And they sent police one afternoon, and I felt it literally just woke me up, and I realised that I might actually get to live. I might actually get to live off this boat and have life again in the way where I can take my freedom back, where it can be mine again. It's taken me 15 years to be able to even acknowledge that and to release myself from the shame and the guilt of the experience, and to not feel like it's my fault. When I look back now at the whole thing altogether collectively, in regards to like who I am right now in this moment, I feel like a whole person. So I feel like I wouldn't take any of it back. I have no regrets, because I feel enriched with all the colours of life, all the flavours of life, all the good and the bad. And I've got the wisdom and the experience from all the good and the bad. So for me, it's a sense of this unconditional love for all of my whole being and all my experiences. And so I've never felt fuller and more alive and more happy than ever. And I believe that it's because of my life. So I wouldn't take it back. I strongly encourage everybody to challenge the notion of feeling like you're selfish if you love yourself, or you're selfish if you have compassion for yourself, because I can promise you that if you take the time to really value yourself and put yourself first and nurture yourself in the way that you would your best friend or your child that you love, or your lover, then you will be so much brighter and so much bigger and have so much more love and compassion for others, that the world will be a much more beautiful place. So if I was to start working with somebody and they wanted to find out how they could go about loving themselves more and developing that compassion, then the number one tip I would say to anyone is that whatever you're feeling, doesn't matter what it is, if it is shame or if it's depression, if it's guilt, anger. So the tip is, whenever these emotions arise, love them. Don't try to push them away. If you find yourself trying to run away from these emotions or resisting these emotions, then they won't go away. They will keep coming back in another way, shape or form. I strongly encourage you to open your arms to that emotion as if it is a part of you, because it is, it's a part of you, with unconditional love. Make make it completely okay to feel it. Know that it's actually feeling the emotion isn't going to hurt you because it's there anyway. Welcome it in, feel it, and sit with it knowing that it's okay. And then you'll be pleasantly surprised that it will actually start to soften and will start to shift and dissolve. And you can use the breath to help you. So sometimes if it really is stuck, just slowing that breathing down into a nice steady rhythm deep into the belly whilst you're just allowing yourself to feel that feeling. And get out of the head, don't think so much about it, just feel it without any judgment. That's the first big step to healing, and it'll take you a long way. My message to people that might be actually currently going through something like some sort of trauma or domestic violence, know that you're worthy. Know, even if you don't feel it right now, even if you don't think it, even if you don't believe it, believe me, you are so worthy. Everyone is important and everyone has value. And so if you're listening to these words, please take them to heart and take some sort of action. Reach out to somebody, anybody, and just start to give yourself permission to believe that there is an out. Because if one thing I've learned in my journey, and this is not just my time in India, I've felt so stuck and so lost, and that there was no out, there was no improvement of my situation, that there always was, that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, there is an out, but you have to be willing to look for it. You have to be willing to open up your eyes and say, yes, I'm open to seeing that where that out is, and it might be really, really small in the beginning. But if you can just hold on to that light, that hope, and never let go, then what you focus on will grow and will expand. And the more that you can focus on even the power of visualization and I would like to call dreaming, just dream of a life where you have the environment that you'd like to have, the people around you and the relationships that you'd like to have, the fun and the joy that you like to feel, and just do your best to ignore what is going on. Like, take action to make steps out of the situation, but do your best to ignore it. So don't feed it with any sort of thoughts or added drama. Just focus on like the solution, focus on getting one step forward and don't look back. That's what I did when I was in India and I was coming home. I just said to myself, don't look back. Don't ever look back. If I was to leave you with one truth that I believe that we should or could all live by to make our own lives and the world a better place, especially now with what's happening in our world, is know that you are a sovereign being, that you are your own authority, that you have a connection inside of you to your own supreme power, highest power, and that no one outside of you has a connection with that for you that's stronger than the one that you have with you. So you are your own authority, you are your own leader, you are your own master, and you are very, very unique. We're all so beautifully and perfectly unique, and that in our uniqueness, that's where we all fit together perfectly in one big whole universe. So I wrote my memoir, A Dangerous Pursuit of Happiness, so that I could go into all of the details and write it from a perspective of healing and heart-centeredness, so that the story wasn't written in this heavy, dark doom and gloom, this poor, crazy, sad story. I wanted to write this story so that I could get all the events and the details out, but with clarity and with the perspective of love and compassion for myself and for all the other people involved, and think about it and feel it from a place of compassion and love rather than a place of judgment or shame.